see in the mirror the reflection of Abdu'l-Bahá, right? So my room is set up unintentionally that every angle, I'm looking at him right now. If I go to my closet, he's behind me because I can see him through my reflection. I look at him when I'm excited, like, oh, this is happening. Or I'm like, oh man, this is really happening right now. Like, I'm really gonna get tested right now. So okay, it's gonna be like a hard week. Like, so now it's just like a constant conversation. Literally, I talk to him more than anyone I talk to, right, in my life now. Literally, like open conversation.
Despite tremendous trials and ordeals and difficulties, his ability to laugh and experience joy and bring joy to the people around him, I think that is just such a wonderful reminder of what we're striving towards.
He is the example. He is like the most exemplar. He is the perfect example. And the thing that I'm really attached to, like I've become attached to, is that he's just like me. He's just like me because he has a station in the faith, but he's not a manifestation. But yet he has all the attributes of a manifestation. And that makes it, to me, it makes it easier for me to connect with and say, oh, this is a man who came in the world like me from his parents, and he basically learned the same things that I'm learning as Baha'i. Like he learned of the faith, and then he put those things in practice, and he became the most exemplar example. And I'm not the most exemplar example, but because I have that example to follow, it makes it more attainable and realistic for me.
And for me, Abdu'l-Bahá really meant sympathizing and trying to understand and trying to do good by everybody at the minimum, and then being able to understand why there's so much grief, why our roles in society are so important, why the tools that we were given are there. When Baha'is are really distraught by everything going on in the world, we call it to the house and they're like, you have a 5-year plan. This is, we thought about this. We thought about everything. We thought about all you needed to do. And in a sense, I felt like Abdu'l-Bahá, in a sense, thought about this too,
I continue to return to that wonderful compilation of his writings more than anything, of the power of unity, in terms of, helping me navigate this moment as a Baha'i, but also more importantly, helping me hopefully be of service to my community around utilizing his wisdom to help us navigate this moment, whether it's in my community at large, my neighborhood, in my school community, as we're dealing with these issues. How do we utilize, his wisdom, his writings, his words to help us navigate these moments of kind of racial strife and upheaval, and how do we, and keep this idea of unity and harmony and struggle that he shared with us kind of at the fore. And how does that help us guide? How does that help guide us as a Baha'i community? And I would say even more importantly in this moment, the community at large.
When I was at Greenacre and my son was about 3 years old, and he was always taking off and I couldn't find him. So I went all over Greenacre looking for him, and I couldn't find him, and I was starting to really panic. And then I said, maybe he went back upstairs to the room. And when I went upstairs to the second floor where our room was, he was sitting on the bench singing, "Look at me, follow me, do as I do, Abdu'l-Bahá, Abdu'l-Bahá." He was singing that over and over again. And I never forgot that. That was just such an incredible moment.
Something that touched me about Abdu'l-Bahá, well, a picture I saw of him. So I went to upstate New York, a place called Mohonk. It's a huge hotel. It's been around for a long time. I went at the diner. There's a bunch of pictures and like on the hallway to the diner, and I saw a picture of him, which shocked me because I didn't know that he would be there. Like, since like there's a lot of like Christians, but like I didn't know that picture of Abdu'l-Bahá would be there because it's not like Baha'i is not like the most popular religion. So I was shocked, and then my parents told me why he was there. So yeah. My favorite story about Abdu'l-Bahá is there's this like part. So he was just like he was 8 years old, 8 or 9. So he was just doing something with his dad, and then people with like stones and sticks were just like getting thrown. They were just like throwing it at him when he was like 8 years old, and then he just ran right to them, and then they just ran away. And it was like it's kind of hard to say, to talk about. It's like being shocked, like to just like running away. It also could be like hard to just like keep running to him because he's like not the messenger of God. He's the government. Covenant. So one thing that really touched me about Abdu'l-Bahá is that when he was a Baha'i, he was always a Baha'i. When he was little, how he had to deal with all the Baha'is being like are all treated unfairly, just treated very bad, and somehow he just manages to live his life in happiness, even though even though it's like his life is also just bad. Not exactly bad per se, but like it's just not the best life for a child. But he still overcame all those things.
You'll leave your home and take the subway to go to work or to school or to visit a friend, and it's guaranteed that you'll come across someone who's different from you, maybe like culturally, racially, ethnically, in experience or in belief. And it's such a powerful opportunity to put principles like unity of mankind, like showing love through action and not just words, putting these principles into practice. And again, not to say that these opportunities don't exist in other communities, but like here you're served them up front with greater frequency and greater intensity. And so, yeah, I think New York City asks you, are you who you say you are?
Abdu'l-Bahá came here and gave us that title because at the same time, New York City, as hard and grimy and hustly as it is, there's greatness, and there's like these moments of glimmers of hope, right? Of love, of sincerity, of amazingness. I definitely think he gave us that title because we can rise up to it. Just like myself and my peers, where we had really rough upbringings, where the closest thing to an outdoor setting was a fire escape, where you couldn't be out after the lights went out because like streets were hot and Baha'i dangerous. But so you still go to the bodega, and the bodeguero is like your tío, and he'll give you the coffee on the low because you forgot your wallet at home that day. You could go to the subway and someone will swipe you in because you forgot your wallet. And these, New York City has the potential to just be so great, if only, again, it's New York City, so we have to be very conscious of like the glitter and the glam and not get sucked into that, because anyone likes a nice coat of varnish, but varnish is like holds everything in, it's impenetrable, it doesn't breathe, it's just so unnatural. So I feel like, I don't want to say we're deserving of the name because I don't think any of us deserve anything from the holy figures, but if there's a city that can, if we make it, everyone else can make it. It's like the Frank Sinatra song. You make it here, you can make it anywhere.
I knew when I got out of my building and being disabled and not being able to lift that shopping cart with all those things in it. If I was really, really stuck, I would take everything out one by one, and then I would empty the shopping cart, and then I would lift it, and then I put the food in. But I had this faith. I said, I know that someone's going to come along and they're going to help me. And every time someone came along and they helped me. And I believe in the goodness of most people are good, you know?
So one thing that makes New York special is that, well, first of all, it's the city of the covenant, and the city of the covenant is where Abdu'l-Bahá stayed. So basically, he's been here. So I'd say I'd say that this place is kind of blessed by Abdu'l-Bahá. He may not be a messenger of God, but he's still a special person in the Baha'i faith. So what I think is special that I live in the city of the covenant, because it's sort of like the city, like what Tadia said, is blessed. So it's kind of special that I live in the city of the covenant. And going back to upstate New York, he actually spoke there and gave a speech. So it's pretty special, and I felt like he was actually there at the time when I was there, and it had a huge connection. And just living in a city where Abdu'l-Bahá lived for a little and breathed is special, because he's not a messenger, but he's normal humans are around here. Messengers of God is here, and then he's in the middle, in between the covenant or the mystery of God. He's there. It's still really special. I wanted to say, I'm lucky that I live in New York because of the covenant, and because New York has just the city of the covenant has food, water, and a bunch of parks that you can play with, so you're not going to be bored all day. There's stores that you can buy books and other stuff to get food and stuff. Money, then you can buy stuff, and beds so you can sleep in, not just on the floor. And I mean, you can get that stuff in any city. It's not just you're lucky to have a park.
One of those moments when you're on the subway and the showtime gets on and they're doing all their tricks, and you check with someone and you give them eye contact, I hope we both don't get kicked in the face. You have that moment of conversation and connection, even though we'll never meet again, we'll never talk again. But if something happens, I know you got me and I know I got you.
As many parking tickets as I've gotten for street cleaning, I miss the consistency of street cleaning, because after a while, it just, you start to see the trash pile up and you're like, oh, I wish they would come by and clean up the streets.
I miss not wearing masks, because then we can see people, and when we see people, and also if we're we can also if we miss someone that's not part of our family, I mean, we can go to their house without wearing a mask, and yeah, but if they're part of our family, we can go in. I wish the Baha'i sector was open, because I love doing Sunday class when we're actually there. Because when we're actually there, it's more, first of all, I feel more connected whenever I'm there. And it's just fun being actually you could actually do something after the Baha'i class and just socialize. I miss a lot of things. Like what Tati said, the Baha'i Center, I love, it's more of a connection. If virtual Baha'i Center, you're just on your seat, talking to a computer. Well, you're not talking to the computer, but you're talking to other people through a computer, and it's not as connected. And when we're actually there, I feel it's more of a bond.
I just miss seeing everyone. You know, it's wonderful that we have Zoom, but it's just so much better when you see people in the flesh and you know, share food prayers together, share food together, share just be together. You know, feel each other, see each other, the whole thing. You know, just that's been the hardest part for me.
I miss going out to the garden where I always do a lot of activity, make a lot of activities in the garden. And I miss, you know, interacting with the different people, especially New Yorkers, native New Yorkers, because native New Yorkers are like, they're a dying breed.
You know, I miss people being out. I miss people being so lively and generous and laughing and talkative, and you know, all the old people playing dominoes on my sidewalk. You know, all the kids playing on the fire hydrant, and I mean, growing up in the city, I always say that there's too many people here, but I mean, the people the people are so unique.
My local Baha'i community is so fundamental to my life. That idea that we don't get to be in each other's. I mean, it's also like opening our homes to each other. It's a very special thing in terms of like showing love and like hospitality, and like that's a big part of what fellowship looks like in our Baha'i in my Baha'i community here, my Baha'i community here in Brooklyn. And so the fact that I'm unable to open my home to people, or that the Baha'i friends are not able to open their home to me for children's class specifically, is really hard. It's really difficult. And to like show that love and hospitality to each other is a real loss. And you know, we do it via Zoom. We're all zooming, and we're doing our best. And we are finding the victory in this crisis, and that is true. But you know, I look forward to, you know, sitting down and breaking bread with folks in my house, and praying on my couch with other children and adults in the community very soon, because we miss it. We miss it. As one of my children calls my name. Yes.
I hope that everything goes back to normal, and like I get to see people that I don't really see in person. I have family in other places, and since COVID happened, I can't see them.
I still like how restaurants are doing now. It's actually still kind of smart. I think they should just keep it that way. So there's some things that I don't want to change when COVID's over, but there are some things that I do want to change, like how I miss the Baha'i Center. So I want the Baha'i Center to open. When COVID ends, I want this to happen, but I want to, like, since COVID's over, I want to see my cousins that I in Sweden and that live in Washington, D.C., because I haven't seen them in like 2 years. So I kind of like want to see them, and we can have fun. We can go like swimming and everything.
My hope for New York City is that we continue to look out for each other, that it's not just a moment of immediate relief because there's a crisis. My hope is that we can learn to be more vulnerable with each other, learn to actually love each other, and not see each other as like a network connection, because it's a city of networking, right? But if only we can really create bonds of friendship where we really ask each other, how are you doing? And you can say, oh, I'm doing good, or I'm having a hard day, or I just want to joke.
As a collective, we've all been so understanding and empathetic of healthcare workers, of essential workers that obviously were very underpaid, of Asian Americans that are experiencing a lot of violence, of people of color who are experiencing a lot of violence. And it's been a time where the world just stopped. And I really hope that as a collective, when things get better, just small actions of talking, of walking with somebody, of making sure someone's safe, of caring, like we did during the pandemic, still stays.
So I'm hoping that after we go back to the new normal, because it's not going to be the old normal, that people still have some sense of compassion, and then they also still have take accountability, like more conscious of their actions when they interact with people in a day-to-day, just in day-to-day movements. So yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. It's not gonna change overnight though. That's for true. That's for facts. Big facts. Just saying. Just saying.
Yo, remember back on the bully when cats used to
I
home?
thought about the time my dad took me to his job on the West Side Highway. And there was a Frankfurter stand. You know those Frankfurter stands, the Sabrett Frankfurter stand? Man, those are the best things that God ever invented. Those hot dogs, man, I love those hot dogs. And that was one of the things that I really, if I had to miss anything in the world, it would be missing the hot dogs,
Recording. Okay.
Okay, so before you record, now I guess you're just going to ask me what my favorite prayer is.
Yeah, your favorite story about Abdu'l-Bahá. And
okay, it's very brief. I mean, there's lots of stories about Abdu'l-Bahá, but okay, go ahead.
That's okay.
Go ahead. Record.
One quick question.
One
more quickly.
I'm ready. No, I'm ready.
And this city is a city of the covenant, right? It's named after Abdu'l-Bahá. Covenant. Mm-hmm.
Governing covenant.
Covenant, yeah.
Governing covenant.
Covenant.